Well, hot damn! Greetings, fellow armchair Imagineers. Tiki here.
And BlueDragonFive.
And welcome to the second installment of our reoccurring discussion of all the Pixar Sparkshorts. That's right, folks. Tonight we're going to be talking about Pixar's second entry into the dystopian robot genre, Smash and Grab.
Yeah.
Okay, Dragon. So, how are you doing tonight? You ready to talk some Pixar?
I'm always ready to talk some Pixar, Tiki.
Of course, of course. So, Smash and Grab is the second in a series of Sparkshorts that Pixar is doing. Dragon, let me try to explain the Sparkshorts for the people. You, of course, are the expert on the subject, but I want to get acquainted in explaining it. So basically, folks, the idea is that the Sparkshorts are shorts that are essentially catered to creative minds within the Pixar company that really want to take a stab at creating something different. You know what I mean? Like really trying to take a different approach, and specifically, we've seen it with stuff. Borrowed Time was the first one, and that got nominated for an Academy Award. That wasn't specifically a Sparkshort, but it kind of launched the series. It was like the unofficial pilot, if you will. And the whole idea of Sparkshorts is they're more mature Pixar shorts that kind of fall outside of the official Pixar branding or the official, the official canon of the Pixar shorts. And they're kind of their own category. They're kind of their own thing, and they tackle a variety of different subjects, different talking points, issues, stuff that might not be, stuff that might be a little bit touchy to get into on a children's cartoon. But with these, they're a little bit more artistic, a little bit more edgy in the best of ways, in the good way, not in like the punk teenager kind of edgy. Dragon, I'm explaining this in a really long-winded way. Do you want to give them the, do you want to correct me on anything?
I don't know. It sounds, sounds better, right? Just again, folks, it's just, Borrowed Time is kind of the unofficial kind of foot in the door kind of pilot for the idea of use. Essentially, the official statement, the official word on things are this may just to kind of specify here. You have 6 shorts for the Sparkshorts program is inspired by Borrowed Time, which means kind of basically take kind of a ragtag group of animators and directors, and you give them a project and something using the technology of Pixar, but again, not quite kind of an official Pixar short intended for theatrical release, which kind of allows them to take more chances. Again, kind of in the Pixar's foray into kind of the light PG-13 territory, which is very interesting. And basically, the Sparkshorts kind of mantra is these are shorts that are basically you have six shorts total, with 3 of which we've gotten so far. I believe they're either withholding the other 3 for another kind of release a little later in the year.
We'll get into that. Hold that thought.
Otherwise, the point being 6, this first roundabout of shorts is 6 shorts made within 6 months, again, using the technology that Pixar has available. And again, very creator-driven films. So that's the amazing thing about all of these. These are all made within 6 months, which is unheard of, which many a time is unheard of, even for the Pixar shorts. I mean, I want to say usually a Pixar short that we get theatrically would take at least a year or 2 to make. I mean, I know a TV short like Toy Story Terror took I want to say took 2 years.
Well, keep in mind, Toy Story of Terror was also 20 minutes.
Well, that's what I'm saying. So I'm just trying to approximate how long a short would ordinarily take. So I'm thinking. I mean, it could be 6 months ordinarily, but I'm going to assume maybe at least the short would take a year to 9 months to a year, because an animated episode of television in 2D takes 9 months. So I'm just going to split the difference a little there. So let's say between nine months to a year is what ordinarily a short takes to make a theatrical short. But again, with kind of a ticking clock on it, okay, guys, impress us. Show us you got the grit, man. And that's the Sparkshorts.
Yeah, so not only do you have the short time window in which these were made in, but you've also got basically arguably borderline groundbreaking animation from these things, at least in a few of them. Some of them have Pixar playing with 2D in the biggest way they've ever done in their repertoire so far, with like a future one that we'll get into. This one definitely explores music in a really interesting way. Yeah, they're all very different. They all have their own flavor, and they all kind of tackle these contemporary sort of like issues of the day in a really smart and thoughtful way. Like, for example, Pearl was about workplace equality. And it's like Pixar doing a workplace equality short, that wouldn't really, it'd leave people kind of scratching their heads if that was released next to Toy Story 4 or something. But as its own thing, as an individual kind of entity, it works really well, and it's very thoughtful and very maturely handled.
Yeah.
All right. So, Dragon, you mentioned that, I'm sorry, I didn't mean to cut you off, but I'm very excited. You mentioned that the last three that they're going to do, you don't know exactly when they're going to air them, right?
No, I don't know exactly. I know there are at least 3 more. Again, they okayed 6, and I've seen like the promotional images for the for at least it's kind of hard to sort out which one's from which. It might just be multiple images from one, but at least we've seen like 6 images from all 6 shorts. The point is, like, they are, they're definitely being made. It looks, given the fact they haven't like fully rendered and everything, suggests that they're going to be released this year. But again, I don't know.
Disney Plus.
Well, I mean, I heard that they're advertising the Disney Plus, but are you telling me the disheartening news that it's only going to be, the other 3 are only going to be available through Disney Plus?
I mean, that's Dragon. You should get Disney Plus, seriously. But yes,
well, I know that, but I gotta wait till I get the okay from the MCU essentially on the Disney Plus. That's the thing I'm waiting for.
No, it doesn't matter with the MCU. You should get Disney Plus. MCU or no MCU, you should get Disney Plus.
Okay, well, the point being, Donovan Martin, just to kind of correlate this a little bit here, Donovan Martin has been speaking to, Disney Plus, I believe, was announced today.
Yeah, honestly, we could have done a whole podcast just about Disney Plus, Dragon. I have considered messaging you about it because, honestly, it's pretty big news, and I want to work it into the top of this, if you don't mind, Dragon.
I just glanced at it, so you're going to know more of the ins and outs than I hear. So what do we got? Tell us about Disney Plus a little bit. Specifically how they correlate to the shorts, but by all means.
Well, I mean, how they correlate to the shorts is simple. From what I've heard, the next 3 are going to be released on Disney Plus simultaneously at the launch of Disney Plus.
Gotcha. All right.
So, but Disney Plus, I mean, check it. Look, we've got all the animated Disney movies ever. As far as I know, we're going to get everything Disney ever. So that's like, all the TV shows, all the Disney afternoon stuff, all the live action Disney movies. I mean, it's just a treasure trove, Dragon. It's just a cow. I'm pretty sure the internet into kind of a frenzy is we're getting literally every episode of The Simpsons, which, Dragon, I gotta tell you, I know that might not like thrill you right now, but I could give you an education in some of the best Simpsons episodes, and I could like hand pick ones that I think you'd really enjoy based on your sensibilities. So I think at the very least, it'd be a good way for me to introduce you to kind of like some of the some of the Hank Scorpio-esque episodes that I think would be right up your alley of The Simpsons. But I digress, man. I mean, it's just basically, Dragon, the best way to put it is that Disney Plus, to me, okay, you know how yesterday we joked about the whole Lion King religious experience thing?
Yeah.
Well, I wouldn't call the Disney Plus thing a religious experience per se, but I would say that Disney Plus and the existence of Disney Plus and everything that's going to be on Disney Plus, I'm totally like fanboying out, Dragon. I'm totally being like pulling a Futurama Fry here, take my money on this thing. Like, this might be the ultimate wish fulfillment thing that Disney has ever done as a company for me. I am geeking out about it hard, man.
Yeah, well, Donovan echoes my thoughts here. His literally thought was popped in my head. I think Donovan was just kind of spoke to in the comments here, breaking the Disney vault, because that's what it sounds like. They kind of they took some dynamite to the Disney vault and blew it open. Now it's like everything's just kind of pouring out.
Yeah, and that's my point. That's my ultimate childhood wish fulfillment. The marketing gimmick that was the Disney vault, which honestly, Dragon, I've never really been a big fan of, because at the end of the day, when you look at it, it really is just kind of like a cynical marketing cycle to make these movies artificially more valuable.
Yep. And Donovan reveals to us the big day, 11/12.
Oh my God! Oh, I can't wait! I can't wait.
November 12th.
Ooh, yeah, mama.
I mean, they'll impress me. Here's the thing that's going to impress me with Disney Plus. Again, I can't guarantee how fast I'm going to get to it because, again, I just need a little bit more. I don't know when I'm going to get on the Disney.
Or
Plus.
MCU shows, Dragon.
I know. Again, believe me, I need proof though. That's the thing. I'm afraid I'm going to commit to it. Then they're going to reveal. You know what? The whole Falcon and Winter Soldier show. That was we decided not to go forward with that. But that's what I'm afraid.
Hawkeye was just announced.
Hawkeye was just announced?
Jeremy Renner Hawkeye.
That's awesome, and I've been dying for that on Netflix, and they're finally doing that. So that's again, yeah. But Tiki, you follow me on this, right? All of these MCU announcements have me drooling at the mouth because I'm like, yes, they're doing the Hawkeye show, like the Hawkeye comic that really kind of revitalized that character. They're doing like my two guys, Falcon Winter Soldier, and this Loki show. But the What If thing, really, because I love Marvel What If, and not only that, from what it sounds like, from what Donovan has kind of informed me of, it sounds like they're definitely doing what my dream of dreams, which is an MCU version of What If. Which again, it's a point. This is all mouth-wateringly cool, and also I hear Kevin Smith's doing a Howard the Duck show. There's a lot of cool stuff.
Whoa! Wait! Kevin Smith Duck show? What?
Well, Howard the Duck. I mean, there's
Howard what?
Now, if I'm remembering,
to me, is it animated, live action? What?
Well, I understand it's animated. So.
Oh my God! Oh, come on! That alone. Well, again, that alone is worth the $6 a month.
That's what I'm saying. Again, the point is, like, ipso facto, I'm definitely getting Disney Plus, but again, I need just the first hint of the MCU of like this being a real thing before. Like, I need a trailer or something just to prove to me, okay, this is coming, and I'm in.
I understand that.
And of course, once that happens, then I'll have access to stuff like when the Lion King comes out.
We still don't know for sure if stuff I'm pretty sure all the Star Wars stuff is going to be on.
It is, yeah, it is.
We don't know for sure about the MCU stuff, though, right? That's still a little up in the air.
Well, I'm saying they keep saying the MCU stuff is coming, and we know that the new stuff is going to be on Disney Plus, like Captain Marvel.
But I mean, like all the MCU movies. That's what I'm asking.
The word on the street is that eventually everything will, once it leaves Netflix, it'll directly go. Like right now, Netflix, they have what they have from the original 10-year run. They were the first 10 years.
Gotcha.
And basically, so they have what they have from that right now, which is not everything, but it's most of everything. Basically most like Doctor Strange onward. That's let's say Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 2 onward. That's pretty much. Oh, I'm sorry, Doctor Strange came before that. So basically, Doctor Strange onward is kind of what they have right now.
Mm-hmm.
And basically, that stuff will kind of be godfathered out of there, where it's just going to be kind of like slow by slow, like as things kind of leave Netflix, presumably they'll just be reabsorbed into Disney, and that's kind of the process they'll go for anything that's on Netflix again, presumably, and possibly Hulu as well. I'm not sure how the whole Hulu thing's going to go down because again, there's an ABC affiliation. I don't know.
I heard that maybe there'd be like a package deal with Hulu and Disney Plus, possibly.
Possibly. So that's then Hulu kind of reduced their prices famously. They kind of like combat with like Netflix kind of raising their price. So I don't know. It's unclear. Point being, Disney Plus does sound wonderful. I mean,
Dragon, as far as I know, we're getting like all the Walt Disney Wonderful World of Color stuff, which is just like super tantalizing to me. As far as I know, we're getting that. There's also a few documentaries in the works, including a Leslie Iwerks documentary about Imagineering, which I'm super excited for.
Right.
I don't know, man.
And again, I appreciate Donovan here saying
it's a golden age of being a Disney fan.
I appreciate Donovan Martin here saying all the MCU stuff's confirmed. Look it up on Twitter. Is blowing up with all the MCU announcements. Again, announcements, man. I need substance before. This is all great stuff. But again, those are the same again, we're living in an era where all the Marvel Netflix stuff went bye-bye. Again, I can't. I need proof.
Well, look, you know what? Even if the Marvel shows get like one season apiece, which honestly I wouldn't be surprised by.
Yeah, I'm pretty sure that's what's going to happen with the.
Yeah.
Basically, I would assume. Like, I know Loki's going to be a limited series. The question of everything else, I think everything else is going to be.
I assume Hawkeye might be too.
I think they're
Jeremy Renner. You know what I mean? Jeremy Renner being like an A-list actor and everything.
Sure. The fact of the matter is, I think they're planning on one season. Maybe some things, if they perform really well, they'll pick it up. I think best case scenario, what's going to happen is Agent Carter will be picked up on Disney Plus.
I'd love that. That'd be great.
If that to me, that's the thing that absolutely will have me like waving the Disney Plus flag. Like yes, forget all my skepticism with like why can't I just be on Netflix? Why can't we just put all
that's
this Disney
it? Plus? Not having every single Disney movie at your fingertips. Agent Carter is what would tip it over.
Yes, because they would have brought it back.
All right.
But again, at the same time, though, if they bring Daredevil back and they just get rid of all the original players, then things are gonna be a little mixed on that. But again, that's when we'll all we have all the Disney stuff you're really quibbling over, but still, it's gonna say all the great stuff didn't matter. So the point is, things could get dicey, but we'll see what happens. Anyway.
But yeah, I mean, just suffice to say for me, man, it's just been a wild day where it's like, I had a pretty damn stressful day at work, but then as soon as I got home and got on the interwebs and checked what was happening in the Disney fan community, it was blowing up, and I was like, oh my god. I knew I was gonna like Disney Plus, but man. Oh, and by the way, Dragon, can we just mention the price? It's like what, like $6 a month?
It's either $6 or $6.99.
Isn't that astounding?
Yeah.
I'm sure it'll go up over time. That's inevitable. But even just for the starting year, let's say for $6.99 a month. I mean, it's like honestly that to me, I don't know. I sound like an old housewife here, but it's like that's such a bargain.
Yep. Now I got to tell you, so one last thing, because I'm regretting bringing up Disney Plus now because we were doing a disservice to Smash and Grab, and I feel really guilty now. But one last thing,
Dragon, this is literally just like this is like every other podcast where they go on like the current, like the current event before we get to the main topic. Like this is how most podcasts do it, if I'm being honest.
Anyway, so one last thing.
I did have that transition with the Sparkshorts, so
Don't praise getting us off track. We've drifted far beyond the Spark. You should have just left it at the Sparkshort news, but no, we're hooked on the topic now. Okay, so one last thing. Donovan mentioned something that sounds very interesting. Again, assuming it says the first MCU What If. Reportedly, I guess, the first MCU What If explores Peggy becoming Captain America and Steve becoming Iron Man.
Oh my god, that sounds amazing. Jesus.
I don't know how that works, but that does sound freaking amazing. Anyway, okay, so we're going to be on this all day, so let's get back to the Sparkshort now.
All right. Dragon, let me just ask you really quick. Hypothetically, if I would have pitched you like, hey, my mind is being blown by the Disney Plus news, can we just pretty please do a podcast about that? What would you have done? Would you have begrudgingly accepted?
I mean, if the promise was we could do both, then absolutely. But I mean, I don't know.
All right. Anyways,
well, we've blown that opportunity, so let's just get back to Smash and Grab.
Okay, so Smash and Grab, Dragon. I'm going to bring it back to you. I want you to give your thesis on this while I kind of still ruminate over my thoughts because I'm still marinating on it. I watched it like 3 times in a row right before we went on.
Smash and Grab is so these Sparkshorts again. They keep blowing me away, and I love how each of them are so distinctly different, and they're bringing something really amazing to the table. And the animation on this one alone blows me away. But I love that this one isn't just like a carbon copy of Wall-E. I like that it's kind of using something a little familiar in Wall-E, more of kind of like the second act of Wall-E, I guess. But it's kind of taking kind of a blend of the first and second act of Wall-E to a degree. Point being. I love that it's kind of taking an element of the familiar, but it's focusing on like a different set of characters, a different set of menial jobs. It's kind of like the lightning rod of it's kind of the age-old thing of Pixar. It's not just Wall-E being guilty of this, but I mean it's in the best way. Where Pixar in their infancy, in their beginnings, it was very much like we're the company that brings the inanimate objects, or kind of like the what ifs to life. With what if your toys came to life? What if bugs were sentient? What if fish were sentient? What if there were actually monsters in the world? Like stuff like that. We're just kind of bringing the what if cars were sentient, all that sort of stuff. And we're kind of in a way that kind of transpired in Pixar's early career. We're kind of doing that with Wall-E, where we take, okay, what if we explored kind of the menialness of a robot's occupation and kind of reflect where we're going in the future. So what if in the future we saw something very human, very relatable in a piece of technology? So again, in some respects, it's going back to Pixar's deepest roots with, kind of, again, we're taking inanimate objects or things that are just kind of like have a very programmable purpose in robots. But we're seeing a lot of humanity. But what we're doing here really impressively is we're kind of condensing all of Wall-E into 7 minutes. And that to me is quite remarkable. How we're kind of taking that again by a short. Pixar is very skilled at, of course, but still, like, there's something really special about this. And I feel let me put it this way: Pearl is a great character piece. It's a great narrative piece. This to me feels very cinematic. I love how cinematic this is. That it's all on screen, very much like in kind of a Wall-E framework, or kind of in Pixar, kind of doing animates perfectly. And we have very little to no dialogue. I think Ben Burtt would be smiling down on this one. We have like these sound effects and everything, like not a word of dialogue within this. Mm-hmm. But there's so much humanity and so many emotions and expressions conveyed here. But then, of course, when things, my favorite part of this, like when things ramp up and we have some action, we have some stakes, and again, just really well composed in regards to cinematography. Like this thing, it's a bleeping Valentine, man. It's great.
Yeah. It is pretty special, Dragon, and I will agree with you. I think Pearl was definitely a good character piece, a good social commentary. This one, I think, though, is just kind of like above and beyond, man. I really do. Honestly, Dragon, what really grabbed me about this was the music. The music just really hooked me. It just became such an integral part of the whole experience. It was probably a big part of why I watched this 3 times in a row. Like, honestly, Dragon, I think you're kind of, I know you're not intentionally underselling it, but I think calling it just Wall-E in 7 minutes is, like, I think there's a lot more to it than that.
I mean, look, there is a lot more to it. I'm just saying, it's kind of hard to figure out, like, how to quite to describe it, so it's the best way I can kind of fathom
it. I mean, honestly, to me, there's not a ton of Wall-E in it, and that's what's impressive to me. I mean, beyond just the server robots, but to me, what's really impressive about this, Dragon, I'm just going to kind of call it outright, is that it, like, at least in the social commentary element for me, am I off in saying that, like, imprisonment and slavery are themes that get touched on here?
I think it's there, and I think it's there, but I think it's kind of pulling a bait and switch where it's there in the background, and it's not overlooked because we have a visual embodying of that. So again, you're not wrong in saying that, but I think you get kind of distracted by it. But I think that's kind of cool that it is there. It's very presently there, and again, there's a drag on these guys' lives, but I mean, I don't know. I just didn't quite. I don't know. It's not quite hitting you, but it's there. So it's kind of interesting. I mean, they are kind of. Here's the thing: they are enslaved. They do have a lot in life. They do have a job. And that's the main reason I'm kind of going for like the Wall-E in 7 minutes thing. Because again, these guys have a kind of a humdrum purpose that kind of gets old after a while. And these guys, but where we go beyond the Wall-E of it all is where we're kind of giving them. Again, we're giving a little bit of personality and we're kind of spicing things up. But again, as Wall-E does another extent. But again, I don't mean that as like a bad comparison. Of course, Wall-E's great. But again, it is more than Wall-E. Because again, we have these 2 characters. They're on the same page. They're co-workers. There's a lot of differences there. And of course, we're in, again, we have a little bit more of more of a hierarchy built in here, as we see with kind of the higher ups with kind of the that feeds into your enslavement thing, where we do kind of see a class system where these essentially are engineers. Essentially, who these guys are. Engineers.
Yeah, at the very least, we have like kind of like a wage a wage gap, sort of like, like the idea of like wage slavery, I think is very prevalent in this society, especially post-recession. And like I said, Dre, these Sparkshorts are kind of like one of the few times I can kind of lift the veil on politics on the channel. I'm not going to get into my personal beliefs, but I'm going to kind of at least broach the subject on some of this stuff, because I feel like it is important. Like I'm not reading these things like they're straight up allegories, right? Like I'm not looking at this like the film theorists do on something like Us, you know what I mean? But by the same token, I feel like it is part of the fabric of these Sparkshorts, and it is something to be looking for, is these sort of like, these threads of social commentary that they very subtly weave into the fabric of these shorts.
Yeah.
All right. So yeah, I guess that's about all I have to say about it. You want to get into the background?
Yes. All right, so the story behind Smash and Grab is this is directed and written by Brian Larson. Now, Brian Larson I believe he started as a board artist. He's worked on things like he did Toy Story of Terror. He was a board artist on Toy Story of Terror. He was a board artist on some Samurai Jack. Again, they're pulling from the Samurai Jack well in a lot of these guys, and I think it's pulling from the best when you look at it that way. And let's see. So he also,
when it comes to silent animation, then definitely,
of course. Let's see. He directed, and I believe directed and boarded the Brave short, The Legend of Mordu. You remember that?
No, I don't remember that.
Yeah, it's kind of a blend. There's a lot of 2D in that short. It's really interesting. It's
really,
it's about Oh, it was when it was on the DVD. It was like one of those kind of supplementary shorts that they had for.
I never checked out the DVD. That was kind of past the point when I was buying physical media. I hate to admit, but
kind of like Jack Attack. It's like one of those.
Yeah, sure.
And it was basically
that one. I'm sure I could look it up on YouTube.
Essentially, it's the story behind the big bear bad guy of Brave, Mordu. So it's kind of cool.
Cool.
All right, let's see. Oh right, so okay, so basically that he had directed that. So it's kind of I believe his second kind of major directing job, at least directing a short for Pixar at the very least. Definitely second directing for Pixar. So this was inspired, and this again very fascinating how a lot of these are kind of again, this is the second short so far that kind of is inspired by kind of working at Pixar, where again Pearl is kind of based on the ending of Pearl essentially is kind of the inspiration behind it, like kind of like having a better workplace that kind of is Pixar versus versus early animation jobs. And here we have just kind of the inspiration is Brian Larson working in a directing and producing capacity, and how it can be a really repetitive job. Because you gotta remember, like especially when you're directing a movie. I mean, Brad Bird's spoken this a lot. Like Brad Bird when he was directing again, The Incredibles being his first computer animated movie. He didn't realize like how much kind of review there was in the process when he was doing that. Of course, you'd have to go through approve 1,000 coffee cups. Like you have to sift through every item in the scene and say, because that's initially before you just kind of streamline. Say, guys, look, we're focusing on the wrong things here. Okay, just pick a coffee cup that works. All right, I don't need to review every coffee cup. But again, directing can be very tedious as well as producing, because again Brad Bird will also go on to say he and John Walker who are like kind of these directing producing kind of odd couple. John Walker's always the producer's like, okay, listen Brad, we got to keep it on budget, you can't have gooey Jack in this movie. Stuff like that, and that's basically kind of that give and take kind of monotony of a kind of like circular process is kind of what inspires this movie. Him kind of wearing both hats in many capacities. Presumably, I want to say Legend of Mordu is the main influence he had on that, but again, maybe some Samurai Jack as well. Anyway, so it's kind of the idea if they have these two robots who kind of have a restrained life, who kind of make their way to a more freeing life. And that's kind of the genesis of it. So having a restrained life to a free life, and then telling the story via robots who essentially don't like their job. They don't really want the jobs that they have, but they're kind of stuck with it. So again, a very relatable problem. And now in terms of animation, what they did here, so again, Again, very different. The three shorts that we have here are very different in terms of how they approach the animation. Again, using a different kind of facet of Pixar's vast animation software and hardware, as it were. So in this case, we have something I don't believe has ever been used by Pixar before, to my knowledge. If so, it's been used very under the radar, because I haven't heard anything about this in any of the other Pixar films or shorts. I think it's the first time ever. Used mocap, which of course DreamWorks had really been kind of using mocap for How to Train Your Dragon 2, and that was kind of something that really set that apart. Where they kind of had motion down to again, How to Train Your Dragon 2 is kind of a beautiful piece of animation. But I think it's Pixar's first stab at that sort of thing here, where the remarkable thing about it, compared to something like How to Train Your Dragon, is kind of the end result looks amazing, and they're using mocap on kind of movements and everything. What they're doing here is, again, this helped. They did something quite remarkable here. Brian Larson, again, with 6 months on the clock, he found a way to kind of fast track the scripting process, where he's basically we're going from script to directly animation, like no time for storyboards. Like the storyboards are drawn onto the script, and basically they found a way using this mocap technology to kind of animate it by doing the mocap at the same time. You follow me? Where basically the mocap does half the work, so they just kind of fire from script to mocap, and again, no dialogue, none of that. So that's kind of saving a little bit of time there to meet the 6 month deadline. So that's very impressive. So again, it's kind of that's a smart use of animation there.
Mm-hmm.
And I think, as you'll notice, in terms of stylistically what the movie's going for, something really cool and something that you and I are definitely used to with animated Batcave. They use some Art Deco in this movie, design wise, and it looks great.
Yeah, no, definitely. It's like I said, I feel like the music, again, I keep going back to the music because the music fit the aesthetic very well. It sort of reminded me, like, this is a much better version of this example, but it reminded me of what Daft Punk did with Tron Legacy soundtrack, where the music just like fit into the style, fit into the movement of the camera, fit into the overall fabric and the look of the movie, and kind of became a character in its own right.
Donovan also points out that DreamWorks has a shorts program as well. I don't know how recent in development that is. That's interesting. Gotta look into that.
Like something like this where it's more adult, or
well, I don't know. It's the first time I'm hearing about it. I don't know if it's just the shorts that we've seen DreamWorks do before, and if that's what he's referring to, or if it's, or if maybe it's like a recent development. It could be like an old, they're competing with each other thing. I don't know.
All right. Anything else on backstory?
No, Donovan says the animation looks very photorealistic, and again, that's kind of complementing kind of the animation stuff we're talking about. So yeah, let's just dive right into the beat by beat then.
All right, let's do it.
All right.
So this is the start of all of these. The Sparkshorts logo just looks really classy, man.
It does.
It's just like it's like late night Pixar.
So we start in space. It's always kind of nice when you say, "How do we start this thing?" In space.
In space.
In space.
In the year 2000.
That's what Pixar's going to be doing next. They're going to have the first animation.
Conan O'Brien humor for you there.
The first animation studio in space. Imagine that, just kind of like a little shuttle where everyone's animating, kind of using zero gravity. Imagine that.
Honestly, if anyone's going to do it, it's going to be Pixar.
Yep, they got that Disney money. Give them a rocket.
Oh God. You sound so confident about that. That's like so easy to obtain. Like, just give them a rocket, Disney. Come on, do it. It's not like you need to like train all these animators to survive space travel and animate in space and work out the logistics and all that. Just give them a rocket.
It's okay. Kind of why you're making a big thing about it. I mean, it's only half rocket science, It's anyway. So, it's okay. No. We start in space and we see this really kind of futuristic Art Deco looking planet. This planet looks really impressive because we just have these floating structures, just from like kind of the planet view, and then we get down there and closer to the surface, and we see again these really almost. And I like this with the design. We have a lot of stalagmite looking animation, a lot of stalagmite looking structures within this. Even the coal looks very stalagmite-esque.
It's the floating mountains of Honolulu. Booyah!
Okay.
I'm just kidding. Little Avatar humor.
But you follow me, though, right? So it's kind of cool.
Yeah,
Like,
no, I get it. I
I
get
feel
you.
like there are these great ups.
Dragon, you're gonna kill me for making this reference because I know I'm overkilling the reference to this movie, but it's giving me a real Alita vibe.
Well, you know me, I love Alita, so it's not.
Well, I mean, I'm just saying specifically with like the floating structures and everything.
Well, sure, I guess when you put it that way, yeah. And of course, the cool thing about these
Not to
structures is
mention the floating structures kind of like being a symbol of the hierarchy. That specifically is what I kind of relate to Alita.
the neat thing about the structures that they're kind of like this upside down thing, where basically it's like, what if a building was upside down? Kind of the bottom base layer was kind of where all the civilization was. So again, it's kind of also, in some ways, I could be reading into this being a little philosophical here. So forgive me for just like kind of dipping my toe in this here, but you know what? Perhaps the message, Tiki, is that society, they have their priorities topsy-turvy, or we're looking at things from a different perspective, where again, like the hierarchy is like at the very bottom of things. That's where the top tier society is, and at the very bottom of things is where kind of we're used to things being at the top. I don't know, perhaps it's maybe kind of like, well, they're saying, yeah, things aren't quite right here because we're looking at these characters who are in kind of the lower status, but we love these guys a lot more than the other guys. They're not bad, or I think we were identifying with these kind of base level characters, where again the base seems to be kind of like the higher. Or again, we see in like top of the building's kind of top of the heap, so the top of the building is pointing down to our guys on the train. So,
man, that's deep, man. I'm following you on it. It's just I'm impressed. That's some deep thought there.
All right, so speaking of the train, we have an Art Deco train, man. Art Deco trains rock.
Art Deco trains, yes.
Ooh, man, it looks cool. So we see an Art Deco future.
It's like kind of like a train mixed with a monorail almost.
It is. It looks great. They can separate. It's awesome.
Yeah. I like how they separate, and then of course they go up. One of them goes up that really vertical track to God knows where.
Yep, and we have this very canyon-like terrain around. Basically, the setting looks, again, this thing looks beautiful all over the place. I guess we're just going to be a little repetitive on this, folks. Just to describe it.
What I love about Dragon, like as good as this thing is, I think this podcast is going to go by relatively fast because literally all we're going to be talking about is like, look how pretty this looks. Look at the symbolism of this.
Yep. But no, seriously, I love the design here, especially on a rewatch, because I've rewatched this a couple times as well. If you really look at it, what's really cool about this. So again, we're kind of like it's kind of like a sunny canyon-like terrain, but then you have like these blue, really blue skies. But again, if you look a little further up, because again, the atmospheres are so kind of blended together here. Again, then you have just space, which leads to these structures. It's like having all it's basically almost simultaneously. You have all kind of the kind of peaks of the day. They have like kind of a sunrise, there's a bit of sunrise, a bit of sunset. Mainly, it's like you have just kind of like, I guess, just kind of regular kind of sun. Then you have kind of blue skies, and then you have like kind of the magic hour lighting, which leads you into space. So it's really atmospherically, it looks really cool.
Yeah.
So I love how there's a lot of great design work built into this world, and when we see the train, what's really cool is the train from the outside with the windows looks a lot like kind of the power measuring thing on the chest of the robots, like all the little blue kind of icons. They kind of show you how much charge they have, and the windows of the train they're little blue kind of the cubes, little blue squares that look very similar to that. And of course, the really cool thing is that, again, on the outside, we have like this really beautiful looking, environment. Of course, inside, because it's all kind of blue and cold and metal and everything on the inside, it gives it that kind of that blue look, and the light just kind of pours down. And basically, the lighting's really good when we get into the dark interior of the train's engine room, where basically the little shafts of light kind of illuminate them, but otherwise they're in complete darkness. So that's like a cool natural lighting thing right there.
Mm-hmm.
So we meet our two characters, meet our two heroes of the piece. We meet Smash and we meet Grab. Now, Smash is based on the image we have before us here. Smash is the guy on the right. Smash is the guy with kind of the Smash-based kind of technologies here. He has like a chisel, and he has a hammer. We have Grab on the left, who of course is our guy who's kind of all about kind of grabbing and spinning around. It's got the guy about grabbing the materials. The materials in this case being basically being space coal. It's space coal. I love the way this coal looks, man, because it has like kind of that. Basically, it's kind of a coal slash an energy. It's kind of an energy infused rock or sediment of some kind. I love that. I love that kind of that world building right there.
Yeah, I mean, I like how it's got kind of like this earthy tone to it as well. It's almost got like a moss tone to it.
I love how kind of sterile and kind of futuristic we're kind of looking at things here with this. Where basically we don't have fire, but we have kind of like pure, like clean energy sort of.
Although it's got kind of like a bioluminescence, sort of similar to. I'm sorry, I know I already made an Avatar joke, but kind of similar to what you would see in Pandora at Animal Kingdom.
Right. But yeah, you see what I'm going for here, right? It's just like there's a lot of logic to this world, and of course, like blue energy, like blue is kind of the color of energy and potential, and all sorts of stuff like that. And it's
blue
kind of
light dragon, essentially.
In essence. So let's see. So of course, again, we see kind of how things operate here, kind of standard operating procedure. We have these two robots are kind of at two ends of the engine here, and again, they're pretty much fueling the train. That's their lot in life. They fuel the train that carries really important cargo to the upper crust. That's what they do. And they are they're tethered to this train by these. Only thing I can call them is power cord. Unless you got anything better, I got power cord.
Power cord works for me. I didn't really come up with a name.
Yeah, you have like this kind of tubing that's kind of powered by the same material. So the point is, like, they have this power cord that they're both kind of tethered to, and these separately at two ends of the train, one by the engine and one by the materials, which is kind of the energy infused kind of coalish rock. So again, we see we show their very monotonous job and kind of how it goes about, where one chisels it and he tosses it over to, he basically rolls it over to his buddy, and he bends down, picks it up, and he puts it in the engine. So we have also talk about the sound design with these guys. We have just kind of your robotic grunts and everything, and just a lot of that. I love my favorite thing on all this, especially my favorite character in this is Smash. I love Smash, man. My favorite part about Smash, I love the way we animate Smash's eyes, because I love all the eye movements, all the eye animation we do on him. His little the little electronic eye that he has, because we accomplish so much with so little. Where he can basically, it's like the iris of the eye, like kind of how the eye. It's the equivalent to how an eye can iris or kind of change shape. Where in this case we give them like brows and lids by giving them like little slits of like a triangle eye, and they can kind of be kind of like really flat. It's like a really great kind of telescoping, kind of vaguely telescoping feature,
Yeah, you can do a lot with it. It can be really expressive, and I mean, it just goes to, it's almost like a dare, you know what I mean? It's like, hey, I dare you to make a Pixar character that's a robot with only one eye.
Yep. And again, I just love that we're doing so much with just shapes. And again, like even taking out the sense, like, I know exactly what this guy's thinking, even though I shouldn't. Again, this makes no sense how this works, but it does.
That's why I love animation, Dragon.
I know. Again, like this
is animation.
I mean, this is going back to like Lady in the Lamp years of animation with John Lasseter. It's kind of going all the way back to there again. Like with a lamp, it's like you knew so much with just so little, and of course you get to Luxo Jr. being the obvious comparison. Again, you do so much with like inanimates. It's it's great.
Yeah, anyway. It's almost like it's interesting, man. It's interesting how much Pixar goes back to the philosophy set with Luxo Jr. Isn't that kind of fascinating? Like Luxo Jr. was like the ultimate thesis statement for Pixar's philosophy.
Oh yeah.
Anyways,
and if you want to get all deep and philosophical about it too, so we have a lamp, and that lamp does have a power cord, or again is tethered to something unseen. Anyways, again,
oh god.
Okay, and also there's this again. The eye movements are cool, and we get a sense of who these guys are. Would you agree? Because Grab seems content with life. That was the kind of the impression I got. Grab seems content with things, but Smash, he's Smash just kind of stopped things all of a sudden here. He says, he stops things because he gets an idea how to spice things up. Again, they're kind of stuck with their jobs, and the idea is like, we have this power cord that keeps getting in the way visually, where it just keeps like tethering, and basically kind of like every time Smash goes to do his job, like this thing will wrap up in his arm or get entangled. So he's just bothered by it. So Smash gets an idea. You know what? It's just this after this. You get a sense of the history between these two guys, just spending less than a minute with them.
Uh-huh.
And he gets an idea to spice things up. And basically he taps, and I love this. I just love these little touches in the animation. He like taps his hammer make on his own body and make the metallic sound to get the other guy's attention. Like, hey, they give him the turn around, look over, and basically show like hey, I got a rock here, catch. Basically, he initiates a game of catch with his buddy.
Yeah, yeah.
So it's it's this. We have a lot of really great cool things here. Like we have like the great positioning here of Grab. I love how Grab can like turn around, like his body will spin before he spins, like his head, like the parts of him will spin, like the hands or the head or something will spin here. He's getting like in the catcher position, to catch. And we have some great timing gags here. Basically, it's like we go to a wide shot, and we just again wonderful. This is the magic of mocap right here. We can capture the movement of something so naturally, yet it's so simple. Like he throws it like a ball that just misses completely. But again, that's probably the most realistic throw Pixar's done in a while. Because again, that's the actual physics of it. If you miss in real time, that's what it looks like.
Right.
So then, of course, so basically he misses the catch and just kind of hits the back of the engine. And the idea is like, okay, you throw it to him and he throws it into the engine. That's the gag. So either he catches it, then he basically keeps missing the shot to throw into the engine, even though he's like a few feet away from it. So we have this montage of miss, I like to call it. We have multiple attempts. It's like we see like 3 throws and then 3 misses, followed by just like continuous like misses, just like throwing it in there.
And then it ultimately culminates in kind of like a T-ball style approach where they've got like a pile of them and then one set like directly by it, directly by the opening.
Yeah, and then so Grab eventually, the Addies have been at this all day. So eventually, Grab gets a hang of it after the T-ball one. So he throws, so he finally gets one in there, and they try to go for the high five. And I love the symbol of the high five. The high five is victory. The high five is they want so little in life.
Is freedom, Dragon. It's expression. It's freedom of speech. It's the ability to be your own person and express yourself. At least that's what I got on a very deep, visceral level.
And I think you'd be correct in that. The high five is just, if you want to be all philosophical and stuff, you could look at it as the high five is a basic expression of joy that these guys are denied.
Yeah,
basically, the broader sense is that again they're trying to spice things up and try and make things a little fun in their job. And essentially, the kind of the makers that be are kind of saying no, and just the way things are designed, you're like, no, you stay in your corner, you stay in that corner. And oddly enough, to kind of connect it to Pearl a little bit, Pearl is all about the eventual lesson of Pixar, and Pixar is all about like kind of the the open cubicle style. Like it's all about interaction and bumping into people and just kind of like hanging out. And intersection, where this is all about the opposite. This is about the complete polar opposite. That where no, you stay on your side, you stay on your side. No correlation. You tell the guy, hey, next shipment. That's all. Whereas here, high five is like it's like, hey, we're kind of stuck doing the same thing over again. But again, they just want to high five each other. That's all. But those
there's something very beautiful and quaint about just like the wistfulness of like just wanting to high five someone. You know what I mean? It's like it's this is gonna sound corny, but it's the same kind of kitsch that made I Want to Hold Your Hand a #1 hit. You know what I mean? It's like at the end of the day, we don't, we're not looking for sex. We're not looking for a relationship that's going to last forever. We just want to hold someone's hand. You know what I mean? I know I'm kind of gushing about this, but I don't know. I think there's something kind of beautiful in that notion, and that
it's kind of the
for connection.
It's kind of the inhuman connection of it all.
Yeah, right. It's very powerful for me. Like I really got a lot out of that.
Like what's really cool if you really think about it is that what they're doing here, just kind of like the high five with the hammer and the fist. Is that they're making the kind of that clangy sound. Of course, it's like when these two things that are not designed to interlock and not designed to just kind of like they're not functional. This is not a functional thing they're trying to do. It's just something that again, it's the epitome of a human notion of like it doesn't make sense, but you do it because again, it's the symbol of connection and friendship and kind of doing something outside of keeping to yourself and being separate and just kind of in your own little world and your own little kind of like day-to-day operation. So it's kind of like a symbol of humanity within the machine with the high five or something. It doesn't make sense, but it's human.
Oh man, we really mined a lot out of that high five, man.
Yeah, one could say we mined a lot of that energy infused rock.
Oh boy.
Anyway, so again, so the point is we have the visual sell of a lifetime of annoyance from these power cords with a moment like that where they're about to high five and they're tethered all across the room by these stupid power cords. You know, Smash has had it.
Mhm.
So Smash, he gazes out the window, and gazing
And
out the
this
window,
again is like even more goddamn powerful for me, man. I mean, this is just freaking poetry.
and the score is great. His score, we have that real gentle, kind of like melodic kind of melody, I guess. We have
Uh-huh.
just kind of sort
I
of
mean,
like that.
I don't want to just like repeat my points I already made about like the longing for the high five thing, like the human connection. But I mean, it's all there, man, and it's beautiful.
So he looks out the window, uses like the old telescoping eye thing, which looks really cool. And he let's see. So he stacks basically when the train comes to a stop, he stacked a bunch of the rocks, a bunch of kind of the energy infused rocks into a staircase, which looks really great. I love how cube like they are, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
So he kind of works his way up there, and he sees the upper crust. So again, and I love the design of the upper crust here. Again, they have a very unified design. Where our two guys here are designed very differently. Again, they're two very different looking robots. Where the society, they're all pretty much the same model of robot. They're pretty much all almost identically the same, but they all have. And I like that they're kind of they look a little bit like Smash, but like kind of the most high end Smash you could ever imagine.
Sure.
It has like a hover, like kind of a hovering way of moving, and it's almost like the heads are a little are shaped a little similar. They have like the head pointed outward. I guess like kind of all the kind of the brains, the chips, and everything are kind of in the elongated part of the head design, which even Grab has to some extent. Point being, so we have kind of the idea of like kind of what the robots of this world look like with that head design. But again, there's like those high end looking sleek design of it here, and they're just kind of hovering around. They have these kind of these balls of energy kind of connected to their hindquarters, almost like it's almost like an insect-like design in a way.
Mm-hmm.
So again, very hive mind-like if you want to look at it that way too. It's kind of like a hive thing. Of course, again, it's that. Look, I don't want to just be making up. I don't want to just connect things for the sake of connecting things here. But again, kind of hive mind-esque with like kind of the bumps of these balls. But these balls also have like kind of a hexagonal pattern on them, which looks a little hive mind-esque. I don't know.
No, I mean, I don't think you're wrong. I think the whole idea of like, of expressing yourself amidst the masses, kind of like nonconformity. I think it's all there, and kind of like the hive mind, if you will, is the big idea of the of breaking out of social norms to begin with. You can't have a breakout of social norms, which is what essentially this breakout is in a metaphorical point of view, without there being a hierarchy of social norms to begin with. So I think you're on the money.
Right. So essentially, what he sees out there are the upper crust living it up, and they do the they kind of put their hands, they kind of not, it's not even really a high five. They're just kind of putting their hands on the other hand. He kind of sees, like, again, look at the freedom they have. They can just kind of move about as they want. They can kind of intersect.
Again, it's beautiful. It's like just touching each other is like human connection that this poor robot thinks he's never gonna have.
And of course, he imagines, he kind of hallucinates he and his buddy being able to high five there. So again, just we see the dream, like, Smash gets the idea to achieve the high five. So basically, he's gotten an idea here, and we see. I love how we visually see him visually putting the pieces together, like what he needs to accomplish. He looks around and he kind of sees, okay, so he sees the guard bots kind of ushering in the cargo of the energy lords. Which again, my speculation is that these. I could be wrong here, but again, I'm assuming it's kind of a two function sort of thing here. So one, our guys could be manufacturing these orbs within the engine of the train. Quite possibly, because we're assuming, here's the thing, we're assuming they're in the front car. We don't necessarily know they're in the front car. It looks like they're in the front. I'm sure you've watched it a couple times recently. Can you remember if when they get out, there's like how many cars are before them when they're like on the roof of the thing later on?
Oh man,
That's the real question. That's the thing. I assume they're in the engine room because it looks like that. But there's a chance they could just be manufacturing.
I mean, honestly, I really can't remember off the top of my head. That's a pretty specific detail.
Okay, regardless, the point is it can work either. My point is, I'm assuming they're in the engine room because I believe that's what their lot is, and they could just be. I'm assuming some world building here. It could be they are just their function is to fuel the engine of the train, which again I assume that's what it is on its face. But what it could also be is that they could be manufacturing, again, because it's like kind of an orb-like thing that he's putting the rocks, that Grab is putting the rocks into. He's putting the rocks into this kind of orb-like engine. that could be turning them into orbs themselves. You know what I mean? It's kind of like a circular shape, which could be pumping out these orbs that kind of get, kind of put on the train and, given to the guards and everything. Regardless, just looking at the world building itself, it's like probably a similar process takes this energy infused rock and manufactures it into these energy orbs that fuels that powers the elite robots. I think that's safe to assume, right?
Yeah, I think you're on the money with that for sure.
Given like the color and everything, it's probably
the
same principle. Anyway, so the point being, so our guy, he looks around here. We got the great visual clues. And I love this sort of stuff in animation when we do it great here, where he looks around. We see the character's thought process unfold before us here. Sees the guard bots kind of moving and unloading these energy orbs. We see they're transported via the train. So basically, it's like the next time we make a stop like this would be the opportunity. So he's kind of putting these things together. So visually, all this is the plan is being formed.
Mm.
All right. So then we have the big moment. So the big moment is so Smash. He severs the line. It's a huge moment. So Smash. The next stop, I guess. Smash. He severs the line. And I love how dramatic the moment is here. It's just he curls up this cord and he's like puts it in front of like a something like a blacksmith like hammering something on the anvil. It's like bam.
It's very much like he doesn't know if it'll work. You know what I mean? For all he knows, he's like literally killing himself in this moment. It's very, again, it's the kind of stuff that they wouldn't be able to get away with in a real Pixar short, but because this is its own entity, it's very ballsy. It's very adult. The imagery of it all.
Absolutely. So he cuts through that line. Basically, he cuts through the line that is also the symbol of the bane of his existence. Again, his oppression, if you want to go that far, but it's the fact that like the bane of it. At the very least, he's annoyed by this thing on a daily basis. He cuts through the bane of his existence. Which also, in doing so, depletes his power by half. So there's definitely a risk there. I love that it's not just like a willy-nilly thing. It's not completely fine. It's that there is some danger.
I like that. I like that it adds kind of like a ticking clock element to it, if you will.
So then we have kind of this he's off, and we have, and this to me is my favorite bit with the animation here. I love that.
The upside down train shot.
Well, no, don't run. That's awesome. That's great.
I love the upside down train shot, Dragon. It lasts for like a second and a half, but it's awesome.
Well, sure. What I'm talking about is, again, with the facial animation, I love how we take the triangle line and we kind of turn it upside down to convey. It conveys so much with one little movement of the triangle. Because it conveys, I swear to God, it's like, the upside down triangle then turns upright. Basically, the upright standard triangle look. It conveys to me this, don't worry, buddy, it'll be fine. Like, I'll be right back. That's what all of that is conveyed with that little triangle.
Oh, God.
It's just conveyed like, it's like, hey, didn't you get that? Like, when
they turned me into triangles. But yeah, Ren, didn't you see smash and grab triangles can be quite effective? Well, I'll take a look before I get so angry.
Okay, but seriously, though, you do see how Doug.
A little pull from our... that's a deep cut.
Yes, seriously, you do see what I'm getting.
Yeah.
Right? So again, it conveyed like that. It conveyed that to you, right?
No, I hear you, man. Like I said, it's like never in your you will believe a triangle can emote.
Yeah, again, that's the most human moment in the whole thing with that one movement of the eyes kind of shifting. All right, so then we have following that, so he disappears out of the train, and we have the really cool upside down train shot, which just looks phenomenal.
Mm-hmm.
Then, so the alarms, and I love how all this is done off screen. By like the alarm sounding, we have kind of like we don't need to see how he does it. Like there's nowhere to point the camera. Like we don't need to see an elaborate thing of how he does this. Then we're going to be cool, I'm sure, but like we don't need that.
I think that was smart. I really do. I to me, there's more tension and stain in the room with Grab.
Exactly, because we're in Grab's perspective here, and we're kind of giving a fair amount of screen time. We see Grab had a little joke with the game of catch, but we also need to we have to invest in Grab, given what happens to Grab shortly.
Mm-hmm.
So we're building up some focus on Grab now. Then we built up a lot for Smash, even though Smash is kind of our driving force of all this. So, so the point is, we're in the room. There, alarm sounds. We suggest a lot of off-screen action. Smash, he returns as promised. He's now hooked up with one of the orbs. and he brought one for grab, so the two of them can escape. It's almost like a chain gang thing from like an On the Lam movie, for like, kind of a prison escape movie. It's like, we gotta get out of here. Like we gotta saw through the chain and get on the move. Like all three of us are linked together. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah. Sure.
So we see again, we visually show, okay, our guy is at full power with this orb. So basically, we show visually how the function works. We're hitting all of our story beats flawlessly. That's the thing I want to commend this thing. We're hitting every single story beat flawlessly. Nothing is, the quote Brad Bird, we don't waste any part of the buffalo. It's all there.
Yeah, and this does feel very Brad Bird-esque now that you mention it. I mean, at least in terms of like the way that the soundtrack is used and kind of like the sleek, like Art Deco style design of it all.
The Art Deco and the cinematography, that's what feels the most.
That's what I'm saying. Yeah,
this thing is kind of like a Brad Bird, like a Brad Bird short. Well, basically a Brad Bird film. Anyway, so let's see, getting back. Oh yeah, so we're in all our beats great here, and he hooks, he hooks Grab up. Basically, he helps Grab. He kind of severs the line. He hooks him up with the thing. Then the guards are in pursuit. So the guards here, oh my god, the guards look awesome. A lot of these guards are kind of they're streamlined directly to their purpose. Where they are just they're kind of a hovering. They're kind of hovering gun turrets that also, again, the turrets kind of serve as like a front loader. It's like because these guards have two purposes. They guard, which of course involves the gun turrets, and they're like forklifts. They load things and they protect things. That's what their lot in life is. So they're kind of the most streamlined, like in society. If you want to look at the hierarchy, you have these guys who they're kind of lower status, but that's. Sorry, let me rephrase that. Our higher status guys have the most freedom, have the most range, have the most, like, they have like a personal design, but also they're allowed to have They have fingers, they have fingers. They can hover. They're allowed kind of all the sleekness in life. And we get to the guards who are kind of in the middle there. They're boiled down to just their purposes. And to me, it read as our guys in the engine room. They have the illusion of humanity. They are human, but they just didn't care enough that the finish out to give them all their humanity. So they're half elite, but they're also half just functionality like the like the guards,
Yeah.
Anyway, so I was geeking out on the guard design there because the guards get a really
very much so. It's a good design for sure.
Then we get the great train sequence here. So basically, the guards are in hot pursuit.
The great train breakout, Dragon. They're combining the great escape and the great train robbery into one epic sci-fi showdown.
Jump down for so smash and grab. They kind of climb the stairway of rocks so they can escape. They're on top of the train, which, as we know, some of the best action sequences in all of history involve the tops of trains. Spider-Man 2. I mean, come on.
Right.
So we have this great train sequence where they're on top here. The lighting looks gorgeous, and I love how Grabs like Smash kind of points him in the direction of that's where we're going, buddy. And he looks out there and sees like kind of the majesty of the setting, and so again, like he points to the nirvana of the outside world. And the Art Deco structures and everything, and then we have these cool looking guards that follow, and they're about to open fire, and then basically as this happens, they realize, okay, we gotta get rid of these things. So basically they use their game. They play their game to defeat the guard bots. So they basically Smash like hammers one of them over there, Grab catches him and lifts him up, and basically they pull the Wolverine move from from the movie The Wolverine, where they're having the train fight. Basically he lifts one up and boom, you take him out.
Yeah.
Anyway, so he lifts him up, and they're taken up by, I guess, like a little blanking on, like, not the, I guess like a sign or it's like a directional thing, like something, like thing separates the train tracks, whatever. Anyway, so like they hit parts of the railway. So anyway, this happens by the third one. However, they just kind of do it. Okay, we took care of one guard, then the other guard, and then the third one comes by, and the Smash, unfortunately, he hit the wrong part of the guard bot. He hit the orb, and when he hits the orb, basically he throws it up. Grab throws it up in the air because it's about to go off, essentially, and it goes off like a grenade. Like you touch it, and boom, explodes. So the orbs are very volatile. And again, we're hitting yet another story beat. Smash sees it and kind of takes it in from him, like, whoa. Honestly, I think it's the only line of dialogue in the whole thing because they kind of clearly hear "whoa."
I can see that.
Kind of like an onomatopoeia thing, so it's kind of hard.
Right,
It sounds like the most human word of dialogue. It's like "whoa."
Whoa.
All right,
We
so
get
so
Keanu
then
Reeves in the booth for like a minute.
maybe,
Whoa.
maybe. So then the next Guardbot shows up. Basically, they're distracted by the light show, the pretty light show of the one that explodes, and then Guardbot shows up, and they missed him just by that much. And unfortunately, the guard gets a bunch of shots off, and he shoots Grab's arm off, and there's just sides because he looks dead too. He shoots the arm off, and he's down. And Smash, like, we had this great zoom in of Smash because he can't really speak. It's like, it's just sort of like robotic kind of like sound, like like
oh god,
like an oh no.
Right. Yeah.
So Smash just runs over, and this is where we get my favorite part of the whole thing, man. My favorite part of this whole short. Oh my god, it's like
well, I mean, it's the classic. Like, this is where we get the Pixar sad factory, man. It's like we got to take the trip there. It's a Pixar. It's a Pixar short. We got to get some tears in there, Dragon. We got to get some Inside Out tissues. I mean, we ordered a whole crate of Inside Out tissues, Dragon. We got to get some use for them somehow.
Well, yeah, we're gonna need to order a whole nother. Actually, we're gonna need to order 5 crates for Endgame.
Oh God.
Anyway, so no, but seriously, again,
Pikachu is gonna be my movie that I'm gonna cry at.
Sure. I mean, Toy Story 4 and Endgame alone.
Toy Story 4, seriously, that's.
We're gonna need a whole factory of Inside Out tissues.
I legitimately would be surprised if I cried more at Endgame than I did at Toy Story 4.
Well, depending on Captain America's fate, that's what's going to determine how much. That's the real question.
All right.
Anyway, no, getting back in point, but seriously, in regards to that, though, so again, like Pearl, and what these shorts have been kind of doing is this question of the borrowed time question. All of these shorts have been kind of posing the same question: how far are we going to go? And Pearl had that moment where, again, the question was, is Pearl going to forsake her other yarn ball?
Right.
Or, like, how dark are we going with this? And again, I love that they're showing that we could go this route and we could get away with it, but that's not the story we want to tell here. But we could. We made you believe that we could go that far.
It was a story that Borrowed Time wanted to tell.
And that's what I'm saying. I love that I love it so far with these. Like so far, there hasn't been like an outcry, like, oh, they just they're not putting their foot.
The formula, man. They're just shock and awe.
Yeah, that's the thing. It's not like a question of like, oh, they're not going far enough. It's not. There's no outcry like, oh, they imagine if they went farther though. It's like there's like, imagine if they went farther, but they didn't need to.
Mm.
Because again, they made you feel it though. Because again, so they made again. For me, it was not an issue of like, no, Grab did not need to die because of this awesome moment that followed it. Because again, it brought back anything of like, okay, fine, Grab survived. I'm perfectly fine with that because of what happens here. So Grab seemingly.
Honestly, what would be the purpose of Grab dying at the end? Like, because it would just be like depressing. It would just be like Smash would just be wandering the world alone, and there'd be like, I feel like there's no satisfaction in that because you build up the. You build up the optimism of human connection, right? And when you lose that human connection, then basically what you're left with is just like, well, shit, you lost said connection, but you got to go on anyways.
Well, here's the thing.
That's unsatisfying. To me, that's just thematically just kind of empty. It's just kind of like doing a death for the sake of doing a death because deaths are sad.
Well, I see what you're saying there. I agree with you to a point, but by the same token, I could see what they would be getting at if they just ended it that way, though, because you would end it that way and just showing that it'd be a depressing message, but still be an effective one, saying like you tried to get out of the system and look what happened.
No, but I mean I get that, but I'm just saying to me the heart and soul of this.
I mean, you're right about that. That's
like,
where
that's almost like the
I agree with you.
And so that's what I'm saying. Like, if we can't fulfill the high five, it literally just feels like empty storytelling. Like, this isn't Cormac McCarthy's The Road. You know what I mean?
That thing they have on Netflix right now. This isn't Sex, Death, and Robots, right? It's not that.
Yeah, right. It's
Love, Death, and Robots.
Pixar, and at the end of the day, Pixar does really good full circle storytelling.
Yes. Okay. So here's my favorite moment. The whole thing happens right here. So.
Okay.
Smash runs over to his buddy. He goes to what seems to be Grab's lifeless body. and we have this great slow-mo bit where 8 guards show up. They hover up
It's
and they kind of
pretty damn intimidating.
this is the reason I've rewatched Smash and Grab so many times, Tiki. This moment here. So we have these 8 guards. They all show up in formation, which is deadly. You never want these things showing up in formation. They in slow mo, and the way the slow mo goes, like they're cocking their guns, and like it's like as the last one shows, like it's like oh god. And then as that's happening, we then have my favorite bit, which is right after. So we have this awesome bit here where it's just everything goes silent. We have the squint where Smash is pissed off at his buddy. Again, he doesn't know. For all he knows, his buddy's been shot down and killed right now. For all he knows, and he's mad. It's kind of like a John Wayne moment, man. It's awesome. Where it's like a Clint Eastwood moment here, where everything slows down as like they're cocking their guns about to fire. And it's this awesome standoff where the eye squints, like the triangle returns, man. It's the vengeful triangle.
Oh god.
We have it's like a triangle or the straight line. Points he squints. He has like this squint here, and he tosses the orb. He plucks the orb from his body, which of course has, and this is what I love here. We take the little clicking noise from when the power module goes down, where basically you see like the energy reading. It's like he loses 2 of the 4 blocks on his chest. And as that happens, it's like a little ticking clock of a watch. It's like, so again, it adds like kind of like a heartbeat to the scene where it's like the clock is winding. It's like in a matter of seconds, these guys are going to open fire. It's like like he removes it without flinching. Like he removes the orb, and, like moves the orb. Basically, he's pulled the pin from the grenade. Essentially, the clock is ticking down with his own life force, as it were. Like boom, boom. And they're about to fire. There's that moment. There's that showdown moment.
Like just terrific sound effects too, and sound mixing and editing and all that good stuff. Because it all just like really well blends together.
Yeah, this is perfect here. The timing. So then he throws the orb and basically he hits it. So again, the symbol of the game that he played with his friend is what saves his bacon here, because he uses it as kind of like a revenge thing. Here, it's just he hits it. He hits the orb, which triggers it. It basically works exactly like a grenade. It goes to them, and boom! Huge explosion that derails the train. Again, the thing that brought he and his friend together, but also, again, kind of has separated them all these years. Again, the symbol of possibly their oppression, but also just kind of like their low-level status. The thing, they blew up the original status quo with this train, man. The train goes down. Train goes down. It seems like that's all she wrote. And then, of course, we see Smash. He's almost depleted. Like the last thing's about to go out, and then he's saved by Grab, who hooks him up to an orb, but not just any orb. We revealed that the 2 of them are linked at the same orb, the orb that Smash gave him, the orb that Smash kind of liberated his friend with. The orb that basically cements that, hey, you and I don't care anyone else has. It looks unconventional design-wise. Like everybody else has their own self-sufficient orb, but these guys are linked by the orb because they got to this place because of each other. And the fact of the matter is, again, it's a symbol of we are, by our own definition, we are of the upper status. It doesn't matter if we look different. We're of the upper status. And Grab missing an arm, and the 2 of them kind of linked at the same orb here, and linked by a cord. Like the thing that was kind of the symbol of their confounding is like that's now they're not 2 separate orbs. They're not 2 separate power cords. It's one cord connecting them together, and they finally get their big moment. They achieve their dream. Tiki, what is that dream?
The dream. Shoot. Putting me on the spot. Oh, the dream is just the high five, right?
Yes.
Of course, yeah. I'm sorry, I wasn't trying to like look too much into it. I was like, oh god, am I like trying to like determine like some big thesis here? No, the dream is the high five. And they
literally the high five. Literally the image before.
Okay, sorry, I was like looking too far into it. All right.
Of course, they achieve the high five. Grab missing an arm, but he still has like the one arm, so they achieve the high five. Just as they pictured it. And they're walking off, and as they walk off, they're kind of heading off in 2 different directions. And Smash, and it's adorable here. Smash he goes in the direction of Grab. He puts his arm around, like they're heading off to civilization. Whether they'll get up there or not, who cares? The fact of the matter is they're making their own way. It's kind of
they still got limitations, and I think that's an important thing to note about the short and note about the ending is that the limitations are still there in spite of the happy ending. They've still got challenges ahead of them.
Absolutely.
And that's, I don't know, Dragon. I think there's something kind of profound about that. And goddamn, I just love talking about this stuff because it's like, you know, look, regardless of whether or not this is like stuff that the animators intended to put in, you know, about this about the deeper thematic elements, I just think it speaks a lot to this short that you can like kind of dig so much material from it about different you know, it's like the state of human life in some ways, you know what I mean? It's super deep to me. I don't know. I mean I really just think that this short is just like, honestly, Dragon, as much as I like Pearl, I think this is far better than Pearl. I think, like you said, I feel like this is a true artistic statement from Pixar in much the same way that Borrowed Time was. I mean, it's dystopian as all hell, and yet it's very hopeful at the same time. It mixes those two tones really well. The soundtrack is awesome. It's thematic. It's just very, very cinematic. It's got really good animation. It's got good character designs. It makes you think. It's got a lot of interesting concepts to chew on. It's just a damn good short, Dragon, and those are my final thoughts, baby.
So, for me, final thoughts. This thing is very visually striking. It's not just again. I want to make it clear. I imagine the easy go-to is, hey, Pixar doing robots again. It's WALL-E. Because I want to make it clear, it's not a WALL-E knockoff. But again, like WALL-E, it's of a great quality that Pixar can do with a robot like that. But again, we're doing something far different and far more. Again, in some ways it's a little more impressive, and given the fact that again they kind of made they put the amount of effort and kind of pathos and storytelling of a feature length film into 7 minutes, which again is kind of
storytelling, Dragon. It's like taking a pill with a whole Thanksgiving meal on it.
Yes, yeah, it's kind of what it's like taking that like almost like a WALL-E concept, but again, like in terms of it's something that's just something that's a feature film idea, but we economize it in the 7 minutes. Again, I know it's kind of the goal of every short, of course, but still, it's the fact that they did it so well with that emotion, that build, that spectacle. That's what everything you want in a short is this. Like, I don't know. Look, personally, I don't know if I like it better than Pearl, but I mean, I love this for all. Again, this to me, this might be better than Pearl. I'll give you that. I'm saying I don't know if I like it more.
It's definitely more artistic than Pearl.
Yeah, it's definitely more artistic than Pearl.
Like,
but again, they're very
more of like a casual character piece.
That's the thing, that they're very different in what they're trying to do. Like,
yeah.
That's the thing. Like Pearl's, like we're focused on that one character. We're here again. This is kind of like this is an adventure with these two characters. That again we're kind of seeing. Maybe not even an adventure. It's kind of it's a buddy piece, but it's also kind of a commentary on a few things. Again, whether it be where that commentary begins and ends, I think it's dependent on the viewer, like how much you want to look into it. Compared with the next one, the next one's to tease it up a little bit more of it's a two character piece as well, but that one's more of a direct narrative. Or okay, we kind of get where this is going for here. And oddly enough, it's kind of a mixture of the first two to an extent. But anyway, the point being this: Smash and Grab is truly remarkable. It is. I agree with Donovan's earlier statement that the short is cute, and it's also has kind of the context. It's robots breaking free from their control. The controller, he goes on to say again, reminds me of a Queen song. Where it's kind of like there's something really striking about this.
I mean, specifically a Queen song from the Flash Gordon soundtrack. Let's be real here.
Well, sure, yeah. But that's the thing. This is just Smash and Grab is something else, man. It's something special and something really next level of Pixar. That's the great thing about the Sparkshorts as a whole. They're again, Pixar couldn't get any more next level. Again, basically Pixar, the thing is going to keep changing. Every film they do, just at this point, just keeps getting better and better. It's kind of the pinnacle of animation at its at its highest caliber in terms of however you want to look at it. Sometimes storytelling, sometimes at the very least in animation, like. Incredibles 2 was the benchmark. Like, oh my god, the animation they did there looks spectacular.
Incredibles 2, say what you will about the story. I am not a big fan of the story in Incredibles 2. But the animation was great. I mean, I'm not going to deny that. Graphics, Dragon. Dem graphics.
That's what I'm saying. The animation, again, presumably until Toy Story 4 comes out, based on the trailers.
Right.
That's where it's going to be surpassed. So that's the wonderful thing about Pixar. They keep surpassing themselves, and they keep kind of being the new benchmark. Like, yes, look at how wonderful and amazing this is. With either the animation or the storytelling, and here we have a blend of both, and it's tremendous, and it's great. And again, it's doing the most. Again, it's embodying what the Sparkshorts are all about. 6 months for kind of a short that just dazzles all, and I can't get enough of it. great.
Mm. All right, just to tease up the next one a little bit, Dragon. The next one is called Kit Bull. It is an adorable, like kitty cat befriending a dog story with themes of racial relations and animal cruelty.
Pretty much.
So that's what we have to look forward to.
I know, not really much of a go-to when you think, hey, it's a little kitty meets a dog story. It's not really like racial relations and.
You know what it very much reminds me of, though, Dragon, is it kind of reminds me of like something like Watership Down. Like, it's not as hardcore as Watership Down by any means, of course, but Watership Down, it's like, oh, it's just a cute little story about a bunch of bunny rabbits, and it's like, oh, it's technically a story about a bunch of bunny rabbits, but man, there's a lot else going on here.
Also teased this. I have a Hey Arnold reference I'm going to make during that, but Tiki doesn't know about it yet.
So. Also, Dragon, correct me if I'm wrong, but like this is Kitbull is by far the most committed Pixar's done to been to doing full 2D animation, right?
Well, let me make sure here. I'm just going back. Well, in terms of like, if we're talking committed, then sure. I mean, the closest thing
in terms of like doing like something like that's a full piece and not just like a sequence of something.
Well, that's the thing. If we're looking in that regards, I mean, the closest thing they've had was Your Friend the Rat, which had a lot of 2D in it, but that was 2D
right.
kind of Ratatouille, kind of the end credits style. There, it wasn't exactly.
Yeah.
Like if we're talking like just kind of 2D from start to finish, then yes, this should be the first for. I'm just trying. Yeah, I think it's. I mean, again, they've done a little bit of 2D here and there, but again, not for like a full piece.
All right. Sorry. So I guess that's about it. Like I said, I am pretty much stoked for Disney Plus, and I'm looking forward to seeing the remainder of these Sparkshorts. And honestly, I really hope that Pixar keeps them going after the sixth Dragon. I'd really like to see another wave of these because I just think they're really special, man. I just think they're such a unique way to kind of like celebrate the talent of Pixar, but do it in a unique way that kind of pushes the boundaries both in terms of animation and in terms of storytelling and themes. It's some good stuff, Dragon. It's some good stuff.
Yep.
All right. And now Wolfman Jack here, and we have oh god, I'm not gonna try and do Wolfman Jack, but Dragon, imagine I'm a radio DJ and we have a listener, Donovan Martin, who requested some Queen. So I'm going to give him 10 seconds of Queen with and that's exactly enough that it's not gonna be copyright, all right? 10 seconds. That's all he gets. To end things out. All right, hold on. Let me. Oh no, go away, Universal ad. Okay, 10 seconds.
Clytus, I'm bored. What plaything can you offer me today?
An obscure body in the SK system, Your Majesty.
Okay, hold on. Wow, this is not going well.
Can I just do the better ending here?
Hold on, I got it. There we go. All right, have a good night, everyone.
All right.